welcome to Scotty's Takes Talk.
Hey.
I'm jumping in today to help talk about one of our biggest frustrations.
Yeah, absolutely. Internet connection. I think that's the Starlink, internet, Wi-Fi, all that sort of stuff, how we manage with that. I think that's the important thing that we want to bring across today.
So I guess since we've embarked on this YouTube journey, I think it's probably highlighted it a little bit more. But why do we need an internet, Scott?
Well, we work from the boat. So we're always having meetings. We need to, everything's in the cloud. We don't have working offline options. We really need to be working with applications and programs that live in the cloud. And then also having meetings with people in the Philippines and also in Australia. So internet is a vital part of what we do for our business. So we definitely need it for that.
And it's not just our team, but it's also other providers that we use and also clients as well. So having those client catch-up meetings or even prospective client meetings, you can't really drop out internet when you're trying to sell into a business.
Yeah, it doesn't bring a lot of confidence, especially since our service is one that is done remotely. So yeah, definitely need it for that perspective. And of course there's entertainment as well.
Yep.
You know, a lot of boat life is pretty sedentary, right? So we're lying around, we're doom scrolling on Facebook or YouTube, Instagram, that sort of stuff. We wish we could do less of that. And then certainly of the evening, we love to sit back to a YouTube video or two.
And a bit of Netflix occasionally as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So any streaming service, all of those things can be rather data hungry. Now, let's not also underplay things like weather forecasting and boat monitoring.
So that emergency or safety aspect of why we have internet.
Yeah, so we can actually monitor the boat when we're not on it. We can see where it is. I think that's really important as well, but also to be able to integrate some of those things in the Internet of Things, which is becoming a reality on Seamoon, so that there's connectivity between navigation, weather, power, all that sort of stuff as well. So
yeah, absolutely. So having some redundancies is really important to us.
Well, yeah, from an internet perspective, it's you know we've just become very reliant on it, and I think we always have been since as a cruising liveaboard working digital nomad lifestyle. We've always been heavily dependent on internet. It's not like we can say, oh, I remember the days we used paper charts and we never had no internet. That's not us. We've always had internet, weather and other things. So, yeah.
And I guess then just to chuck the other curveball in, then we've started this YouTube channel. So making sure that we can update and obviously upload our information twice a week, so that's really important.
Absolutely, and you know, we were in a situation the other day where we couldn't get enough internet service here in Croatia in the islands to actually upload an episode onto YouTube, which is terrible. But I think the demands, you know, in the last 10 years, the demands on YouTube when you're uploading something to it is a lot more than what it used to be. You know, I'm sure you could just used to get away with minimal files, and now they're big AIs doing all sorts of things to it as well. So it seems like, you need a lot of internet to run a YouTube channel as well. So that's for you.
So I guess they're the big things we need our internet for. So I guess if we go back to September 2023, when we brought Seamoon, what came on board with her? What sort of system was in place? Yeah,
so they had a couple of different things which were great. One is a Wi-Fi booster or a 4G booster that was locked to Telstra. It was all legally done. There's a receiver at the top of the mast, and that would extend your range that you would get for your cell data, and that worked throughout Australia. It certainly didn't work as soon as we left Australian shores. We also had a modem that also had a SIM card, ability to put a SIM card in it, and that did 3G, 4G as well. So you could put a SIM card in that, and it also ran to a TP-Link router. So the combination of getting that data from the 4G towers, the 3G back then, and also 4G towers, and then being able to disperse it through a Wi-Fi modem was how we ran, or how the boat ran prior to us coming on board.
Mm-hmm. I guess we were also, when we picked her up, we were in the marina. So it goes without saying, when you're in a marina, generally you do get Wi-Fi access. So it's not that strong normally.
Well, with that range extender, we were able to get Wi-Fi in the marina very strongly. So which was fine while we were in Australian marinas.
Yeah, I mean, when we have been in the odd marina here, we're not very marina people here. It's way too expensive. But when we are in a marina, they generally do have Wi-Fi. It's just not fabulous, I guess.
Yeah.
So, okay. So we did put something on.
We did.
Before we left Australia. Well, when we first brought the boat, within weeks.
Before we'd even moved on board, really, we had a washing machine installed. But while we were doing that, we also had the Starlink Maritime Gen 2 high performance dish mounted onto Seamoon and linked through. If you're not familiar with the setup of that, it has the normal Starlink box, but it also has, which is powered 220 volt, but also it has a modem that's also powered 220 volts as well, that then distributes the internet around the boat. We also had that hardwired, so we got rid of the modem and we hardwired through an Ethernet connection into the TP-Link Wi-Fi. So the TP-Link, when it was turned on, remember only when we're using the inverter, we were using the Gen 2 Starlink. And the reason we did that, if you were going to ask me that question, was we had the old Gen 1 mobile dish, the one that had a motor on it that was roamed around.
And that was on our old boat.
On our old boat, yes. And we thought we would run the business well on that. We found pretty quickly that while we were moving, or even if we were moving around the anchorage, if you can see behind us, boats on anchor tend to move around a little bit. That was enough for it to lose its satellite connectivity. And the workaround that many people had for it was to drill into it and take the motor or disconnect the motor out of it. We didn't do that because we'd sold Tenacity at the time, and we wanted to go, because we run the business, we wanted to get the high performance dish, which was essentially 10 small satellite dishes within one big flat dish, so that they could all lock onto different satellites, which meant it didn't matter if you were moving around a lot, you were going to get a good connection and good connectivity to the satellites, and therefore have uninterrupted perfect internet.
And she's actually mounted just up here, so on the other side of the roof, obviously, but on our coach roof. So she has great visibility of satellites.
Yep, not blocked really much by, if a sail's over the top of her, sometimes she can complain, but generally speaking, it's quite good.
So why have we then just gone and purchased a Starlink Mini?
Yeah, so unfortunately, if I can just put a bit of context in place, Starlink Maritime, the high performance dish, is good for connecting through to satellites. Certainly better than that first dish that moved around. Absolutely, no doubt about that. It's also designed for a heavy workload, so that if you were a commercial vessel that had 10, 20 people and other systems all drawing on the internet, this is the dish for you. This is the system for you. For the two of us, with minimal draw on, and when I say minimal, we're still doing, 500 gig a month type of consumption. Yeah. So we are heavy users, but nowhere near what a boat full of people would be. So we think that probably we have overkill in terms of the latest generation. Everyone's getting Starlink Minis now. The technology is so much better when it comes to acquiring satellites. And if you only have the two of us and a few systems getting the data, then it's perfectly fine. For a boat like ours, you'd be crazy to go something bigger like we've got at the moment. The real reason but we've already invested in it, so we've paid the thousands of dollars for. It's the same plan, so it doesn't cost us any more to have the high performance dish. The same plans that are available under Starlink Mini. It's just that the cable started playing up. We didn't need to use it when we were travelling through Greece. So it worked all through Indonesia, Thailand, across the the Indian Ocean, up the Red Sea, even in Egypt when it's not supposed to work, because you were in an international channel, it worked fine. And then when we got to Cyprus, we realised that their mobile phone connections were so much better. So we just got a SIM card, and that we hadn't had to use, which was so much more affordable than Starlink. So we've just been using SIM cards in Greece. It's been amazing. Cyprus, it's been amazing. Croatia, less so. And that's why we wanted to restart up the Starlink. And then we find out that there's a problem, and Starlink keeps dropping out. It's not working as a high performance dish should work. So that's why we decided in the end, it was just, we will fix it. We just need to be back in its country of origin, which is now Greece, in order to get a new cable. And so in the meantime, it was just a much more affordable plug and play option to put a Starlink Mini in. So that's what we've done.
And I think from a redundancy point of view as well, so when we do cross our next ocean, we'll have the Starlink Mini as a backup.
Yeah, and especially the way that Starlink is now managing its plans. Everyone groans with the new Starlink rules, which basically are that you can't be in a country outside of your origin country for more than 30 days before the whole thing needs to go to per gigabyte status, which is very, very expensive. It would cost us something like $2,000 a month to do that based on on the sort of usage that we have. So having two dishes gives us a little bit of flexibility. If we had two different accounts, we can stop one, transfer ownership to the new country, which you can only do every 90 days. So there's lots of juggling that, there's some great advice on Starlink on boats on how we're going to manage to juggle it. And we're really, really hoping that Starlink will take pity on us cruisers and change the rules a little bit, because it really doesn't hamper us in Europe at all. Europe is considered one geographical region for Starlink perspective. But when we go to the Caribbean, that's lots of different countries in small spaces. That's going to be a real problem.
Yeah, so the workload will increase trying to navigate the Starlink system, I guess, in all those countries.
And we'll have, Starlink will be of use, but we'll also have options to get SIM cards, local SIM cards, and use those as well. So we'll have that, put that in our distribution Wi-Fi, because we now have a TP-Link that has the SIM card built in rather than two separate units, because one failed a couple of years ago. So we now have the ability just to put in a local SIM card. It's a little annoying at times. It's a little expensive at times. Turkey wasn't great, but in places where Starlink wasn't available or it's just not necessary, then it's much better to just use the local towers rather than run off the satellite technology.
So we've got a few different options of things that we can use. Is there any advice to our few viewers that are watching? Is there any advice about what you would have if you could, I guess it's a brand new boat and you were setting up from scratch? Is there anything that you would change?
Yeah, absolutely. Starlink Mini all day, every day. So we've got the one out of the box, which means we need to run the inverter to run it at the moment. But we have purchased, and my brother's about to bring it to us on the boat, the cigarette socket, so that we'll be able to run it off our battery system, let it run constantly. You really would just put in Starlink Mini. You certainly wouldn't go the maritime version for even liveaboards, but any sort of private catamaran or monohull. You would definitely go Starlink Mini for sure.
I think we did see that at the Seawind factory when we were there a couple of months ago in Turkey. They were installing the Starlink Mini, so it's the best technology at the moment.
Yeah, The other thing with Starlink is because most of us cruisers, when we're crossing oceans, Starlink doesn't work when depending on your plan, but typically it won't work when you're 12 miles offshore. And they're very strict on that. They're very good at geofencing. They know exactly where 12 miles is. And what you need to then do is turn on data, ocean data effectively, which you then pay for by the gig. And it can be very expensive if you're running up a lot of gig on the ocean passages. So most of us wouldn't do streaming services. We wouldn't do the sort of work that we would normally do when we're crossing oceans. We would just turn it off and on. And so that sort of brings in, some of the other Iridium products which will do weather. They're lower level satellites. We have a Garmin that InReach that helps us, which is just a small satellite that uses the lower orbit Earth orbit satellites, and we can send text messages and get weather files and other bits and pieces. So there are affordable options for satellite technology that don't include Starlink. I think the big thing is to have redundancies. Like you said, have more than one. Starlink certainly makes life on a boat more comfortable. And even while crossing oceans, it can make it more comfortable, makes us feel like that we're more connected. But there certainly is the Iridium technologies and also the Garmin InReach technologies that allows us to stay connected even when we're not using the Starlink system.
Excellent. Anything else you want to talk about today?
No, I think so. It's a kind of a watch this space with Starlink and Starlink plans. I haven't got into a lot of detail about those plans because I'm sure they will be changing constantly. We just know that Starlink seem to be enforcing rules a lot harsher on cruising boats. I'm sure we're not a great revenue stream for them, so we probably are unintended consequences. But there's a fellow by the name of Jeff Bezos. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's got a company called Amazon who are going very strongly into competition with Starlink. They have low Earth satellites as well in place. They're certainly not as big as Starlink as yet, but I know that they certainly have aspirations to compete with Starlink. So who knows? There'll be an Amazon system that might be available at some point in time. I'd say you're probably going to have one or the other. You're probably not going to go with both. But the days of having the big white domes that used to be on, you see them a lot on super yachts, those days are pretty much over. We're not going to see those sort of systems on boats anymore. The technology and the satellites are too many, we don't really need that bigger dish anymore to pick up satellites to get internet. So I think, which is great, absolutely fantastic. But I'd just say, watch this space. I think it's an evolving space.
A bit of competition wouldn't be bad in this space.
No, it probably wouldn't be bad to have competition for sure. I mean, that drives down costs. And certainly, don't get me wrong, I don't want to be coming off as whinging here because Starlink have commoditized the internet. Iridium, that sort of low Earth technology audits, there was orbit satellites, were very, very expensive. So it would be nothing to pay $5,000 or $10,000 a year for that sort of technology, and big dishes as well. I know my brother's 40-foot boat had a big sort of dish and big sort of system on it to connect to these satellites. Very expensive. So Starlink has made everything more affordable, and then we're just sort of whinging around the edges about going from $200 a month to $2,000 a month is probably a bit of a steep increase. So even though we run the business and everything else on it. So
yeah, absolutely. We want to make sure that it's affordable, not only just for us, but also for everybody in the cruising community. There's a lot of chatter around Starlink at the moment.
But depending upon where you're cruising, if you're in the main regional areas of Australia, if you're in not up north, but Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, Perth, those sort of areas, the Wi-Fi is going to, the cell data is going to be fantastic. You won't need to worry about satellite technology. Certainly in Europe, we have found it to be really, really good, except for these islands in Croatia. In Greece, you can't sort of look around without seeing a whole bunch of towers. In
Croatia.
In Croatia here, we don't seem to see as many, and that sort of means that you just...
us.
Yeah, it did, because we were heard that Croatia was better than Greece, but that's just not the case from our experience. So other countries, Italy might be different, France and Spain might be different. We'll let you know as we progress, but certainly if you're going to an area in the Med, I wouldn't be too concerned about Starlink when you've got the ability to have some sort of either a SIM card or an eSIM that might be able to take data and distribute that via Wi-Fi as well. The technology is getting better and better every day, so you've got that ability to do that. I think you should.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Scott. Thanks for walking us through the comms of the boat, or the internet on the boat.
No worries. It's really important, right?
It is really super important, because otherwise we can't send these videos out to you guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you like this, please give us a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed, we'd really love you to. It helps us. Gosh, if you found anyone if you don't have a boat but you know someone who's just bought a boat and they're thinking about internet options, please share it. Make comments, ask us questions in the comments. All of that really helps our channel, but we're here to help you. So if you don't ask the question, we can't answer it. I know we go very broad in these chats, but if you want to ask something specific or get us to clarify something, very, very happy to do that as well. Yeah,
so we are on a new YouTube channel, so we're still learning, but hopefully you can come along that journey with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.